Hey! Today I've got James here, and he's from my church. He's actually the youth pastor at mine and my husband's church, and he wants to come on today and just share his testimony. So really happy to have him and just share, see whatever he wants to say. So if we sort of start off just by introducing yourself, how old are you, and just a little bit about your background.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me. I'm James, I'm 23. I live in Shirley. I'm a youth pastor, like Eva said, at our church. I've probably known Eva for about a year or so, but I've known Eva's husband for about, 6 years, maybe 5 years. We've been quite good mates. So I've lived here my whole life, and I've worked in the church the past 2 years. And I just wanted to kind of get out and share my testimony today, because it's it's powerful. Testimony is powerful. It's important to me, and it's just good to reflect. I've not done anything like this before, and it'd be good to get the word out, so people can just hear how good God is.
Definitely. It's always very powerful to hear different people's testimonies, how God has impacted their life, totally. So if we start then from the beginning, so sort of before you were a Christian, what did your life look like?
Well, I've come from a non-Christian background. My folks don't go to church, aren't Christian. Some family members are, and you go to church. As a kid, as a teenager, I've been to church on the odd occasion, as lots of people do, kind of Christmas, Easter, things like that. But never really an experience of what kind of I know church to be like today. That had never happened. At school, again, it'd never really been a thought. I kind of come to the decision that I didn't believe in God. It was kind of never been a massive thing. It was I don't really have time for that. It's not really something that makes sense. And that's where I was. So as a kind of 14, 15-year-old, I made that decision. God doesn't exist. When you die, you just go to the ground. And that's it. Was where I was, and I was quite comfortable, quite content and happy with that conclusion.
So then what started to change then? So if that was where you were at, what happened next?
It was it was at secondary school, so being in year 10, year 11, lots of things started to change, kind of life kind of steps up a gear, things start to be a bit more serious. And friends and I, we met this guy who was a local youth worker who would come down to school and just spend time with people. He used to teach music in lessons, and we used to get on quite well with him. And he was just a really approachable, a nice person to be around. He seemed to care a lot about other people. A few of us played some music together in a band. And actually we used to use this space at the end of my road that we could go and hang out and play music together. Actually, it cost us about £2 each every week. And this guy we knew from school came in and said, why don't you come to kind of my youth centre where I work, just up the road in Shirley, and you can have it for free. And that was the biggest thing. We thought, that's great, that'll save us a few pounds. We'll go up there. So every Thursday after school, we'd kind of get our stuff together. We'd go up to this place we thought was a youth centre. We'd turn it upside down. We'd strip the stage of all the music equipment, all the amplifiers, the drum kits, just shove them upstairs in this other room, and spend the next 2 hours just kind of thrashing out really loud, horrible music. And we had great fun. Had no idea that there were other people working in the building. No idea what else was going on, but we loved it. He was there with us, and that was really the start of what happened. Just getting to know this guy, this place we could come, and it was just a nice place to be. That didn't cost us any money.
That's really nice. And I know that when we were talking before, you said that you saw something different in him and a couple of other people. You began to sort of, you were sort of drawn to them in some sort of way. You saw that they were sort of nice.
It's really hard to explain, but sometimes you come across people who are just different, who, even though you don't really know them, you're quite happy spending time with them. They're kind of, I suppose it's easy to put words around it now, but you could kind of say that being in this place, being around these people who were running this kind of youth ministry, were peaceful people. They were nice, they were friendly, and there was like, for the first 6 months we'd spend time there doing stuff. We had no kind of idea that they were Christian. It was just nothing that was on the agenda, and it didn't matter. But it was just a nice place to be, where we felt safe. Where I felt safe, where I felt comfortable. And we just had a good time, causing trouble, messing about, but getting on with people.
Nice. So how did it go from sort of you guys come to play some music once a week to then you actually meeting God? Like, so what happened in between there?
So we slowly started to realise that this wasn't just a place where a group of lads would come and hang out for a little bit. This actually was kind of like a youth centre, a youth club. And to be honest, I think some of us were a bit too cool for that. We didn't really want to be labelled with, oh no, we don't go to this, that's not great. It doesn't reflect well on us. It didn't make too much of a difference. We probably just kept it quiet, but knowing it was kind of a youth setup, they invited us on this weekend away trip that they'd organised, and we thought it'd be great, kind of go away to Devon for a few nights, all these activities going on, time with friends. Kind of, we were coming to the end of school anyway, so kind of getting through exams, finishing in year 11. Life was never going to be the same, really, because we were all going to different colleges, doing different things. So make the most of this opportunity. So we went on this weekend, and we just had a really great time, doing all sorts of activities, hanging out. I remember the guy who we met at school, who ran the ministry, was in the room opposite us, and we would break into his room at night, cover it in toilet paper, and just do all sorts of stupid stuff that was fun, but we enjoyed ourselves. Some of the people I work with these days, in my job, I remember just kind of playing them up all weekend and having great fun. One moment stood out. This guy who we'd got to know, just a brief word, just a brief conversation, said to me, James, like, I never knew you were kind of so like lively. I didn't know you were kind of this kind of person. You always come across really quiet, but it's been great to get to know you, and see you in a different light. And that was kind of like, oh wow, like that's really cool that someone's been able to notice that about me, and get to know me so well that they can see kind of, they can tell when I'm different around other people or in different situations. It's funny, we look back on that trip, and I know some of the grief it caused within the church because of some of the planning and things like that. But it's great to look back and see how faithful God is through all sorts of challenges that happen. So that was a big thing, really. It wasn't a Christian weekend away, particularly, although kind of there were prayers before mealtime. We were invited if we wanted to kind of ask questions or pray with people, we could do. But that's kind of something that when people would say grace, you just sit with our eyes open and twiddle our thumbs, like, they want to do it, so what? It had no impact on kind of what we were doing. Didn't make us feel uncomfortable. Wasn't something I was totally interested in, but it was just there, and it's kind of that point really start to notice, like, okay, these guys that we're with, that are looking out for us, they do believe in something. They're not forcing it on me. They don't want. It's not really on the agenda in our communication, in our talking. It's something they do. This is something I do. But kind of after that, after we'd kind of had that opportunity to kind of get on with each other and kind of and get to know a lot more people, they'd invite us away again. This time we'd finished school, and there was an opportunity to go to this music festival, which wasn't a music festival, but that's how we were sold it. Come away, you finish school, why not come and hang out? And kind of, we were quite keen, to be honest. It was nice to have a little holiday with some friends. But checking out the promo videos and stuff like that, it was kind of, this was overtly a Christian event, and there was no hiding that, and it was not something I wanted to be involved in. So we decided not to go. Maybe it's because I can't remember, or maybe this was kind of, obviously it was God kind of working in me, but it just came to the point where I knew I didn't want to go, and I didn't want to get involved in this stuff, but the opportunity, I didn't want to turn down the opportunity of spending time away with people that I cared for, people that were my friends, and I thought, we could just go and blank out all the Christian stuff. Like, we could smuggle like alcohol in with us if we really wanted to, we could cause trouble, we could do anything we want, we could just ignore the Christian stuff, that'd be fine. So we went. So yes, the one thing I remember before leaving was someone saying to me actually just before I left, whatever you do, don't become a Christian. And I kind of laughed that off, joked about that because it was hilarious because I did not, like, that was not on the agenda whatsoever. But it was actually something someone said to me, like literally a minute before I got on the coach to go. So that happened. It was an interesting time, interesting 5 days. There were big meetings in the morning, big meetings in the evening. We'd go down and kind of be what I know now to be a service. There would be a church service, and I'd never been to anything like this before, and it wasn't particularly enjoyable. People would get up and sing all these ridiculous songs, and then there'd be this boring long talk. I think we had to go to 1 or 2 of these meetings, like otherwise we'd get in trouble. But the rest is our choice, so I kind of went to one, and we laughed at the words. I won't name them, but some songs we still sing in church these days are just, the words were just hilarious. And it just wasn't anything I wanted anything to do with. But we just enjoyed our time there, and kind of getting to know people, hanging out again, just feeling in that place where this is nice, this is comfortable. I enjoy the company of these people. Some of them scare me a little bit, but we're getting to know each other, and it's just friendly, and I feel appreciated. Towards the end of the week, other people in this group had started kind of having these real strange experiences apparently with God. People were screaming and crying and having these encounters, and even walking up to the front of the stage and giving their lives to Jesus. It's a concept I'd never come across before, and they were doing it. It was happening. This is so weird. This is, what are they up to? Not something I want to do. But seeing that, and seeing 15,000 people in a big room, singing songs, listening to these messages, walking up to the front and praying these prayers, we're kind of like, what is this? Like, what kind of messed up place? How can all these people be thinking along the same lines? How can all these people be kind of in tune with each other on this level? And it does, like, after 3 days, maybe 4 days, it's kind of like, right, this is really odd. How could all these people be thinking about something that I know to be wrong? I know to be nonsense. And it was really the question. And it wasn't until kind of maybe the day before we came home that in one of these meetings, when all the screaming and all the crying was going on, I just, you feel your heartbeat. And it was like, I just felt my heartbeat really strong. And like, I was sitting down, I wasn't exercising, I wasn't working out. It was just in my chest, this kind of heaviness, my heart was just going like, what is this? What is this? Like, what is this emotive environment? What's happening? People are becoming Christians. People are apparently being healed from sicknesses. What is going on now? Like, the other side of my life, home life, wasn't like, it wasn't bad. Like, a few family members weren't very well. One family member wasn't very well, and that was tough. That was really hard, and kind of leaving school. Yes, those things, like, at that age, those things are quite big. So kind of two quite big things going on in my life, and it's kind of like, as my heart was beating, I found myself thinking about these things, thinking about kind of the things that were worrying me, things that were probably making me a bit anxious. And I was kind of like, what? No, what is this? This is rubbish. And I kind of thought no more of it and left. And it came to the very last evening. We'd had this big party, all the music going off, kind of jumping around. And we'd got involved in this because we had fun. Like, nice to end the week all together. And this guy who'd been at school, who had got to know me, who we'd spent time with, who had that conversation with me a few months previous, came back to me and said, "Look, James, I feel like God wants to speak to you and tell you something." And he said, like, I can't remember exactly, but along the lines of, like, you don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to make everyone happy. You don't, like, you can be who you are. You can be accepted for who you are. And all I remember of the rest of that evening is just being, like, in floods of tears for no apparent reason. Just these words had kind of really struck me and gone quite deep. And I remember that night going back to my tent, and I got my phone out, writing a little note on my phone, like, writing down what this guy had said to me, the specific words, and saying, I remember this, like, signing off at the end saying, this can't be God because it's not real, but something weird has just happened. And I saved it, and that was it. and I suppose that was it really. I then spent the next few months getting involved with what was going on at this place I now knew to be a church. We'd come down and get involved with some of the ministries. We did the Youth Alpha course, and asking questions, hearing about things. Lots of people we were with had become Christians and started this journey, and I was like, it's not, something doesn't add up. Something is happening, something is there, something that I can't put my finger on, but I don't know what it is. I need to think about it, I need to process it. So I did, and I just felt this need to kind of be around the place, spend time with the people that are there, get to know other people, and it's easy to look back now. I remember doing the Youth Alpha course, and then the weekend away, spending time with these three guys who are like the three of like the kind of the big people in our church right now, like these three heavyweight Christian men, and kind of spending time with them, and I hadn't got a clue who they was at that time, but they prayed for me, and I don't remember what they said. I don't remember kind of really what was happening, but I just remember that they did. These three heavyweights prayed for me in that situation. And after then, kind of, I started college, trained to be a chef. Lots of things were different, kind of making new friends, losing friends, and life was pretty crazy. College was hard. I found that really challenging. I used to have a lesson first thing on a Monday morning, which I found really difficult. Like, I used to get very nervous, do lots of things wrong. So one day I thought, you know what, on the Sunday evening, the night before, I'm gonna pray, because apparently like this has some kind of impact. And I kind of, whether I wrote it down or whether I just said something in my head or out loud, I can't quite remember. But I would have said something along the lines of, God, like, I don't know if this works, but Mondays are really challenging. I find them really hard, so if you could make it a little bit easier, that would be sweet. And from that point on, I did that every Sunday night, because I had this idea that you had to do it the night before, otherwise it wasn't. You have to be prepared. Say your prayer the night before, give it time to process. But amazingly, every Monday after that, I felt a lot more comfortable. I felt a lot more peaceful. Things started to go a bit better. And it was almost like these two things were related. I would say the prayer on the Sunday, and I would feel the benefit of it, if that's the right word, on the Monday. And that was strange. And that kind of, although it sounds small, that was one of the biggest experiences. God was listening to what I was saying and putting it into action for me.
And for the first time, you could actually see it.
Yeah. I could see it. It was like a tangible thing. Things changed. I didn't really get to church very much. Kind of towards the springtime. So this was 2011. And I kind of drifted away from some of the people just because college was hard. Things were tough. And I remember coming back to church one morning just because I hadn't been in a while. And I sat next to a friend of mine who was doing some of the youth work there, who would spend a lot of time with me just chatting about life. He was a really good guy. He is a really good guy. Sat next to him, and this other man, the same man that had been, I don't want to use their names, but they probably know who they are. This other guy that had been in the school and been talking to us and saying these words to me, appeared at the front of the service, had a word with someone, took the microphone and said, right, there's someone in here, someone in this room that Jesus wants to step out of the boat and walk towards him, and be with him on the shore. And I kind of looked around the room, and no one batted an eyelid. And I felt that feeling. I know. That heaviness in your heart, even now it's happening. But my heart felt like it was going to beat out of my chest, and I knew that like I had to kind of go forward. So he was saying, look, if this is you need to come forward because we want to pray for you. If you're going to be strong enough and bold enough to come forward, we want to do that. And I kind of naturally got next to me and think like, oh, flipping heck, I think it's for me. What do I do? And he said he should go. So he kind of pushed me to my feet and came with me. And I walked to the front of the church, and I was like surrounded by these these guys, some which I knew, some which I don't, which I didn't do now. And again, they prayed for me, and I had this kind of weird emotive experience where my heart felt like it was going to explode. I could do nothing but kind of cry and just shake, and everything that had been kind of weighing me down, with friendships, with family stuff, with a new start, with college, everything that was kind of like I was carrying that I felt heavy had just kind of disappeared. And it's kind of like, this is really odd. And to be honest, I don't remember too much of the detail after that. But the one thing I do remember is kind of, I'd had these experiences, I'd heard these things, I'd had these heartbeat moments, and I'd heard a lot of stuff from the Youth Alpha course, from other people that were around, and I'd seen people that clearly were Christians that were sold out for Jesus, and they were nice, they were approachable, they were friendly, they took time for me, and they were cool, and I didn't think those things could add up, but I couldn't deny that that something was happening, that I'd prayed and that there'd been a result, that someone had been spoken to by God and it had touched me. So I remember maybe a few weeks after that, just being on my own. I'd never really read the Bible. I'd never really prayed much outside of the Sunday night. But just saying to God, look, if you're really there, I want to follow you. And I wrote it down in a little book I had. And I wrote the date. And it was almost the day 6 years ago.
It's amazing.
And no one knew that. Nobody else, to be honest, nobody else knew that until a week ago, where I told some other people. That's totally something that I'd kept to myself, and that started a journey of not that there was this bright white moment where Jesus appeared and said loads of stuff to me. I wrote this thing in the book, and I wrote amen at the bottom and shut the page and went to sleep, and nothing changed instantly in front of me. But things started to happen after that. I realised I've spoke for a long time.
No. So it's really beautiful, actually. Your testimony is really beautiful, because for me it's a challenge, and for perhaps other people watching it is a challenge, because where you were before, you said, you were a bit of a nuisance, you were breaking into somebody's room and covering it in toilet paper and stuff like that. And this person must have been very holy to not have a big go at you, and to have the patience for you, and to have the understanding for you, and to have that, because he really reached out to you in a very relational way. Which is really beautiful and quite different to perhaps other people's approach to evangelism. Obviously, when I had Yosef on my channel, he's a street preacher, so obviously his way of evangelizing is very, very different. But it's really beautiful that this person took the time to really, accept you as the person you were, and you saw that and you felt comfortable. And as a result, you ended up going along to these random things that you didn't want to really be a part of. But you saw that other people were accepting you and loving you and genuinely taking an interest in you and caring for you. And that's really amazing and challenging for myself sometimes, because I can get frustrated sometimes with unbelievers, but maybe because you come from that place of somebody took all that time, maybe you have more of that heart in your evangelism style. And it's a really nice thing to think about. And so you've made this commitment now to Jesus that nobody knows about. You've wrote it in your diary, you've closed the book, and it is done, you've done it, it's in your heart. There's been a big change in your heart. And then, so what sort of followed from that, from that moment on?
Well, I didn't tell anyone, I kept it to myself. But I probably started talking to God a little bit more about stuff that was going on. Maybe even prayed outside of a Sunday evening, maybe on other days of the week. But going forward, I was just again, like you said, I felt accepted in this place that I now used to be a church. Now beforehand, when we were just messing around in there playing music, it was we didn't know it was a church, and now I knew it to be this place of kind of where Christians meet, which was totally new, but it was cool. It was nice, and I felt welcomed, and I could turn up to this place whenever I want. I could hang out with people, do stuff, get to know people, and it was kind of, I felt accepted. I felt like this is great. No one really expects anything of me. I can just be who I am, and I suppose it went like that for a few months. So that was April, May, June, maybe up until August when they took us away again to this same event. I'd be training to be a chef at that time, and whilst we were there again, kind of getting more involved in in the ministry and the worship that was going on, spending time with God, and having these kind of experiences where kind of you feel the Holy Spirit, you feel kind of things that maybe that you've done wrong, or things that have been upsetting you. You just feel that taken out of your body. You feel that dealt with. Kind of things like that happened, but I felt God speak, and He said, like, I've been training to be a chef, but He said, like, actually, James, I want you to do something else. I want you to feed people that are hungry. And it's kind of like, okay, well, like, that could well mean the same thing, but it could mean something completely different. So God specifically said that to me, actually.
That's amazing.
And then I processed that. I come home again. I started my second year, and then I got a job. I was working, so I was studying, training to be a chef, and also working as a chef. But I also knew in like this other life that I kind of kept secret from most people. Anyone that didn't go to church, anyone that wasn't involved with church, didn't know, and I kept it all like completely to myself. Even to the point where I would just make up stories. Like I knew I was going to church, but I'd tell people, "Oh, I'm just hanging out with these people at 10:30 in the morning
on a Sunday."
But I knew that's what God had said. But kind of, I was now working in the kitchen, doing more cooking, doing more chef work, and it just didn't sit right. It didn't feel right. I didn't feel peaceful about it. I enjoyed it. It was good fun, but it always just felt like, if God has said like my life should be feeding people that are hungry, does that mean He wants me to stay in restaurants and stay and do all the things that I want to do, like work in different countries, work in different restaurants, work in different places, and kind of cook, because it was the one thing I was really passionate about? Or does it mean something different? Are other people hungry for other things? Like do people want to be supported? Do people are people hungry for for something that I've acceptance? Like, I've just got off these guys that I've got to know the past year, and it took me a while to think about that, until someone invited me and said, someone from the church a few months later said, "You know what? Do you want to? We're going to Uganda. Do you want to come with us?" And I didn't really have to think about it. It was like, yeah, all right. What are we doing? What's happening? Well, we're going to Easter. We're going to put on some clothes. We're going to hang out with some people, some children we know, and we're just going to have a good time. And there's no word of we're going to go and share the word of God, or there was no it wasn't dressed up as this big gospel mission. It was just something that, do you want to come with us? Because we like your company, you like us. I think it would be good. And now I had this job, I could afford it. So a lot of preparation, a lot of excitement went into that. And I ended up my first Easter as a Christian spending it in the middle of Uganda, with all these people that I didn't particularly know very well, from the church, some that had been around during my time in the youth ministry, some that hadn't, and it was great. This raw experience of life, in a completely different level. The furthest away from home I'd been was probably Spain on holiday, and I was in the middle of East Africa, kind of in this strange place where what you see on the TV, what you see about poverty, what you see about people in need, is real, and life suddenly kind of hits you in the face. This is real. This happens. And there was one evening we were there, again in amongst a load of people that I didn't really know, and kind of life from that, life before that, going to church and spending time with God had become increasingly harder now I was working. So working on Sunday morning rather than going to church, and kind of like, although I still had that in me, and I still was kind of, there's something I would think about, it was nothing I shared. I didn't really make it to a lot of stuff. But on that one evening in Uganda, in the dark, sat around outside, someone said, you know what, God really wants to reach out and reconnect with someone. And for the third time, that kind of heart's going to explode moment happened. It's like, I'd not really spent a lot of time with God, like in the months before that. I kind of thought, well, when should we become a Christian? Isn't that it? And I prayed a prayer with this guy that I only met at that week. I haven't seen again since. And we prayed together, and it's kind of like, you've reconnected with Jesus, reconnected with God. And I felt God saying that moment, like, I want you to be doing stuff like this. I want you to feed the hungry in this way. People that want to know me, people that need to know me, I want you to do it in that way. So it was then I thought, you know what, I can't do this cooking, I can't do this chefing anymore. God wants to use me in a very specific way. He said that clearly. Like, it's easy to talk about like kind of hearing what God has said, but this is something that's completely new. Like hearing what Jesus was saying to me, either through my own thoughts or through other people's words, was something completely new. But I knew that God had said, look, I want you to do what I want you to do, and I want you to feed people, not with food, but with something else. And that was kind of, if I had to box my testimony in, that would kind of be it. From then on, it becomes a whole other world of amazing stuff that's happened in my life. But yeah.
Which, just to summarise, you became youth leader at the church.
Yeah, a few years later.
Yeah, and then you went on several mission trips.
Fair amount of time abroad doing stuff.
Basically, so God took you, it took a while, I guess.
It did take a while. It took about 2 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years, maybe.
Which is different to some testimonies, because some testimonies you listen and it's kind of like, I was in this place, I was maybe taking drugs, and then, I met this person, and then I saw Jesus or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's really good to hear another testimony of how God was consistently, calling you through different people.
In that, it was very. It was for me. Sometimes it was challenging because some people had this really kind of like, wow, like this encounter with God, and this is it. Like 1 second I wasn't, and 1 second I am. And for me, it was kind of like, it wasn't like that. It's like, should it have been like that? Is it like that? Are these people just wrong? Am I wrong? It wasn't that kind of split second.
Yeah.
That was a lie, this is the truth. It was like, I really have to process this, I really have to think about it. People that know me probably would kind of attribute that to what I'm like. But yeah, that was really interesting. But I'm glad I stuck with it. God was faithful in keeping me there, and not getting discouraged, to the point of giving up. And I mean, from that evening, kind of praying that prayer with that one random guy in that random country, kind of like, from the outside looking in, was when I think people would start to see my life was changing. From the inside, it was the moment like I'd first experienced that kind of, that encounter with God was kind of, okay, something is different.
Yeah.
But when other people can start to tangibly see on your life, was really when it started to change how I lived, change how I acted.
I find it really amazing, because I see that sometimes, a lot of the time, God uses you in the way that, you were drawn to him. So, for example, you were a youth, and then there was somebody that got involved in youth activities and invited you along, and then now God is using you as a youth pastor. Because he, all the things, how they're feeling at the time, this would have freaked me out, this would have pushed me away. You've got that experience, and you've got that heart to reach out to, especially youths that are not part of a church community or Christians. With myself, a huge part of how I became a Christian, apart from one person, was YouTube. I watched so many testimonies on YouTube for 2-3 weeks straight, morning till evening, and so for me, when I became a Christian, it was obviously I had to put my testimony on YouTube. So it's kind of it's amazing how God, those things that worked with you, you know, God then uses those things to reach out to others. Then,
really cool.
It's really, really cool. So, thank you very much for
No
coming on and sharing
you.
your testimony. So yeah, see you everyone.